Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers, FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well. It's a exciting Tuesday. I don't know. It's a Tuesday with a lot going on, I'll tell you that. We've got some really interesting things happening in baseball. Looking forward to talking to you about them. We've got aces potentially being slowed down. I was going to say shut down, not shut down. Slowed down. We've got closers being released by their teams, and not because they did anything crazy. We've got injuries all over the place. We've got veterans signing to cover up injured spots, all this kind of stuff. We got a lot going on here to discuss with you all over the next couple of hours. I am Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me today. I see people already in the chat room saying hello. Angelo, Henry, Doug, hello to all you. Thanks for always being around. For those of you that don't know, you can watch the show live and listen live and all that kind of good stuff. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. In both of those two spots, you can watch the show live and also leave comments and questions that we address at the end of the show. You can also check us out on YouTube, or excuse me, on Twitter X at Fantasy Guru's site. Can't leave questions there, but you can watch us live. You can always watch us when you get to the website, FantasyGuru.com. Click that Elite Plus tab in the top right corner. Have at it. Find this show as well as the other podcasts on the Fantasy Sports Network we have there. And you can always type Fantasy Sports Daily into your podcast network, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, all those kind of things. If you want to check us out and take us on the go with you, put it in your pocket while you're working out, while you're driving down the street, anywhere, maybe while you're walking around the street. A lot of people are into walking these days. Good for your heart. Keep it going. So that's some of the ways you can check out this show. You can also obviously find all of our work over at FantasyGuru.com. And just to let you know, I've mentioned this a lot. You all are certainly aware of this, I think, at this point. Football season's a couple of weeks away. It's getting really close. We're all getting geared up for the season. It's going to be a ton of fun. We've been working in the fantasy football space directly since the draft, so April. So we're ahead of the game. For those of you that are a little bit behind because you haven't gotten involved yet, now's the time. Head over to FantasyGuru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can sign up for the DFS football package, the wagering football package, and as you see there on the screen, the seasonal football package. And I think that one of the reasons why we're successful is because we have a great group of people there. And I think we really nourish all of you, hopefully, with the articles, with the rankings. We had training camp the other day at 11 or 12 hours of just presentations all day long. All of us, PowerPoint, taking questions from all of you, answering those questions. We had entrance. If you sign up for that, you could have got entrance into the staff leagues that take us all on in leagues that we're actually starting to draft this week. You can still get training camp, by the way. Go to FantasyGuru.com, click that subscribe tab, scroll down. It's stored so you can watch it live anytime you want. You can watch a little bit this morning, a little bit in the afternoon, a little bit tomorrow. It's all cataloged there if you want to get that. But the product is great. The people are great. And one of the things, and everyone's got message boards and all of that, but our Discord rooms are they're impressive because people help each other out. It's not just myself and Armando Marsal or Tyler or Russell, these guys, and answering questions. It's not just Jeff Mans, Ted Schuster. It's you all helping each other out too, which is great. So really appreciate everyone's staff. Anyway, check it out over at FantasyGuru.com. We can help you out. Plenty of time for you to get ready for your draft. Tons of information. If you don't see something, hit us up in Discord. Let us know. It's probably there, just hard to find because there's a lot of stuff over there at FantasyGuru.com. Okay, what are we doing today? Let's dive on in. Let's see what we're doing today. And we're going to have some fun today. Let's see. Tarik Skubal. I'm just getting a note from one of my coworkers. Sorry, I was looking at IM and made a good point. Not a bad idea as I type. Yeah, I don't know. Let me ask you this, since we're all sitting here, and I see, Greg jumping in the chat room and everything too. For those of you that are watching live, let me know, again, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. Leave a comment. How do you read all the articles? I get it for the articles. Do you read all the articles, or is your first move to run into Discord and ask a question? I'm curious about this. I'm really curious about this because a lot of times I'll write an article and someone will go and ask a question. I'll be like, well, I posted the article 2 hours ago. Oh, yeah, sorry, Ray, I missed it. I was running around. I know that when an injury happens or something pops, there's immediate, 10 seconds later, let's ask a question. I get that. But is your general mode to go to Discord first? Is your general mode just to go to Discord? Do you actually read the articles? How many of the articles do you read? And I wonder if it's different for football and baseball. So let me know there in the chat room. My coworker was asking that question here as we got the show started. Okay, what are we talking about today? Tarik Skubal. What is going on with Tarik Skubal's workload? It's about to get dicey, it sounds like. So we'll talk about that. Hector Neris. Did the Cubs really release their closer? Brian Wu. Kyle Harrison, Gavin Stone, Joe Boyle. Who's Joe Boyle? Let's talk about a guy who throws 100 miles an hour. Max Muncy, Tommy Edman, Andy Pages, Masahiro Tanaka, TJ Friedl, and Francisco Alvarez. And then on the injury side of things, Austin Riley, Ketel Marte, Ha-Seong Kim, Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, Justin Verlander, Alex Cobb. There's some big name players that we need to dig into, and we'll do that here over the next 50 minutes or so. And again, remember, Fantasy Sports Daily is Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Rocking and rolling here every day for about an hour, helping you out. I mentioned this yesterday. I'll just reiterate it again today. With the start of football season, we're getting really close. We do football Wednesday, Thursday, Friday right now. Once week 1 starts the NFL season, we're going to do football every day. So that'll be something to look for. We will still cover baseball. I will say this, once the football season starts, Monday baseball is going to be pretty light because we're going to have to review what happened on the weekend for football. But we will talk baseball throughout the season, every day, Monday through Friday is my plan. My plan would be to split it about half and half, baseball and football, until the football season is the only thing going on. So don't worry if you're a baseball fan, you get used to watching the show and you like it. We will continue to cover baseball throughout the entirety of the regular season. Okay, let's get into it. Tarik Skubal. Tarik Skubal kind of said the other day that his goal was 200 innings. He said, look, the greats throw 200 innings. I want to get to 200 innings. Admirable. He ain't getting there. He's currently at 155 innings. Last year, because of injury, he had 95. Tigers aren't going anywhere. Here's what's going on with Tarik Skubal. He's not getting shut down, but on Sunday, he could be making what is termed his last start on regular rest this season. We heard the same thing about Paul Skeens yesterday. We talked about here on the show, right? Is Paul Skeens going to get shut down? No, it doesn't look like it. But is he going to start to get the Garrett Crochet treatment? This is a little different because we don't know for certain if Tarik Skubal is going to get the Garrett Crochet treatment or not, or this is the last start on regular rest. Does that mean that they give him an extra day of rest? Does that mean that they skip his turn in the rotation? We're not really certain what's happening with Tarik Skubal. What we do know is if you have Tarik Skubal and you've been riding him, he's been arguably the best pitcher in the American League, right? If you've been riding him to this point and you're getting ready for the head-to-head fantasy playoffs, you're in trouble because there's certainly a possibility that coming up here after his Sunday start that they just decide to skip a start. If he misses a whole turn in the rotation, doesn't even pitch for a week. So you may get a 0 out of Tarik Skubal. Another reason why I don't like head-to-head. You might get a 0 out of Tarik Skubal in the fantasy playoffs. Here's what AJ Hinch, the manager, had to say, and I'm going to read a quote. It's important for us to be very aware, which we are, and it's also important for us to watch what he's doing. We're controlling the things we can control. He continues to go out and dominate, continues to put up good effort between starts. We're giving him extra rest, but he's done the work. You got to reward players when they've done the work with giving them a chance to compete. So my read of this is that they're going to continue to let him start. It won't be on a consistent basis, and I'm not sure what that looks like on a per-start basis. Remember, and I brought this up previously, Casey Mize a couple of years ago was running out of innings. They kept Casey Mize in the rotation. They let Casey Mize take his turn through the rotation like normal, but they let him – he threw like his last 5 starts, he threw 3 innings to start. Like that was the plan. They wanted to keep him on, the rotation, but really limited his workload. In this instance, it sounds like the Tigers don't plan to do that. They're not going to have Tarik Skubal stay in the rotation and just go and throw 3 or 4 innings every time through. It sounds like they're going to give him extra time between starts and all of that. So, again, this one is really dicey. And this is – I had a great question this morning in Discord saying, Ray, is there a source where I can look at for 2-start pitchers next week? And I nicely said no, because we don't even know. I was writing the Cash Game Breakdown yesterday, and And I always start that before this show on the West Coast early in the morning. And there were legitimately 4 teams that didn't even have a starter announced for yesterday. At 7 in the morning Pacific Coast time, 4 teams hadn't even officially announced their starter for that day. There's no way in hell we can predict out 2 weeks from now or even next week who's a 2-start pitcher. And this is a prime example. The best pitcher in the American League, maybe the best pitcher in baseball this year. We don't even know after Sunday what his next start's going to be. So this is, and remember, he's at 155 innings. He was at 95 innings last year. He's blown past that number already. They want to get him to 162, right? You want to get him qualification for the ERA title. But beyond that, I don't know. It's a really interesting scenario that's going to play itself out. And, we have seen this. We've talked about this a lot. So we can't say we weren't prepared for this. Obviously, it stinks if it goes the way it looks like it will, though, with Tarik Skubal. Now, this one, look, I get it. Teams want to save money. Hector Neris is owed $9 million next year. The Cubs don't want to pay it. I get it. He cleared waivers. They put him on waivers, and he cleared waivers. No one added him because no one wants to pick up the $9 million salary next year. He was DFA'd this morning. He was just released. Designated for assignment. Just let go. The Cubs let go their closer. Not because he's a jerkwad, not because he's a dickhead, not because he got drunk last night and ran his car off a bridge. They just released him to save money. Ooh. Baseball's got a problem. Got a problem here. Now, whether Neris is great, whether he should be the closer for the Cubs, that's a separate question. This is a guy who's performing effectively. Not only performing effectively, he's the 9th inning guy for his team. And he was just released because of his contract. Ooh. I'm guessing Jorge Lopez is the next man up in a bullpen that's been torn apart, both by injury and movement. Maybe Hayden Wesneski, if he can get over his arm issue, can work into the 9th inning. I don't think Jorge Lopez is any great shakes right now. But if you have Hector Neris, you're screwed. Because no matter where he signs now, clearly he's not going anywhere to close, clearly. We don't have an obvious pivot in the bullpen with the Cubs. And this is just a weird situation. Maybe something comes out, but again, we haven't seen any of it. Maybe something comes out that he was a cancer in the clubhouse and he's doing weird things. Maybe. Haven't seen any of that. And for a guy who's been around in the big leagues for a decade, kind of weird that would just come up, right? So I think this was a pure money decision. And that, to me, is distressing. And in fantasy space, like I said, the big takeaway with Neris is he's adios to your team. Jorge Lopez, who's had some 9th inning success, very moderate skill set. He's had his own issues. He had to blow up with the Mets where he basically told me to get rid of him, and they did. Wow. So 2 really interesting stories to lead things off here on Fantasy Sports Daily. Next I have Bryan, which I'm contractually obligated to do at least once every time I mention his name. What could have been? We've talked about this a lot. My breakout pitcher of the year. I do have, I think, a pretty good track record of selecting these pitchers. Last year it was Justin Steele. A pretty good track record of selecting these guys. And Bryan Woo has been everything that was expected. In fact, you could argue he's been more than expected. He's just fantastic. Last night he gave up 2 runs in 6 1/3 innings against the Dodgers. Scoreless game through 6, but he gave up a solo run to Lux. They gave up a base runner. They took him out. And, of course, the run came around because that's how things go. But Bryan Woo, other than the health woes, which have been significant, is he throwing 80 innings? 80 2/3 innings. He just got there last night. So he's right at a half a season of work. His ERA is 2.1. His whip is 0.8. That's phenomenal work. The strikeout rate of 20% is lower than I anticipated. And that's not great. Okay. That's not even close to great. And obviously his ratios right now are over his skis, especially without the dominance piece. So, the 2.1 ERA should probably be 3.5. The 0.9 whip should probably be 1.15, but those are still really good numbers. And as a couple of folks have said in chat room, they have said that, he's going to win our fantasy championships for us. Maybe he will. Maybe in the head-to-head setup, he's going to blaze through this, and maybe it's going to happen, and that'd be great because, again, he's pitched so effectively this year. There's been all those starts and stops, the disappointments. Maybe it happens, okay? So we'll see. But But right now he's pitching as well as pretty much anyone in baseball and needs to obviously be a must start every time he's on the hill. Great work for Bryan Hill. Kevin Thompson asked a question here. I might as well bring it up. I just saw it. What about Jack Neely replacing Neris? They could. Obviously, Neely's down on the farm right now. He's 24 years old. He's 6'8", 245 pounds. Now, I'm looking at his numbers right now. He's got 9 saves this year in his 37 outings. But it's the strikeout piece that's massive with him. I mean, 40% strikeout rate is huge. Could they make that move? They could. They absolutely could. But let's say it this way, Kevin. Jack Neely has not thrown an official pitch to major league level. They just got rid of a guy because of salary. Would they call up another guy and risk salary? I mean, we're late enough in the year. He's not going to get to the innings pitch mark, so they could do it. He's not. I don't think he'd be on the roster long enough to be close. No, I don't think he'd be on the roster, so they could do it and keep him as a rookie next year. Maybe they do, and we'll see. That, I mean, if you want to be practice again, Jorge Lopez to me, he's pitched effectively this year, but he's really. They could call up Neely. The problem, Jack, with Jorge Lopez and Neely is that Lopez is the veteran. Lopez has the contract. Lopez is on the team. He's pitching effectively. You look at his numbers right now. He's got a 1.25 WHIP and a 2.5 ERA. It's not a bad. I mean, in theory, it makes sense to do it. Would they do it? I don't know. We'll see. Because remember, too, let's see. I don't know if he's on the 40-man roster. Let's see if I can find that information real quickly. 40-man roster, service time. Oh, boy, let's look it up. Or why not? Let's all look it up. Cubs 40-man roster. I don't know if he's on the 40-man roster. If he's not on the 40-man roster, for those people that don't know, that means that they would have to remove somebody from the 40-man roster to put Neely on the 40-man roster because you can't be promoted to the big league level unless you're on the 40-man roster. If someone's on the 40-man roster and they're not hurt and there's not a space, that means that they'd have to just release somebody. They'd have to expose someone to waivers. So do they want to do 6 weeks of Neely here at the end of the season to lose a player? That's something to look at. Let's see. Neely. Unless I'm spelling it wrong. No, I'm not. He is not on the 40-man roster right now. So Neris is on the 40-man roster, so I guess they could just slide him in there. Maybe they could do it. They could do it. But he's not on the 40-man roster yet. All right. Doug M. Should have made the breakout player of the year. Well, yeah, I guess we can't do that because he didn't play enough. He's only played half the season, but boy, it's gone well, but it's been half the season. All right, Kyle Harrison last night over the White Sox, 1 run over 6 innings. Kyle Harrison pitched very well. He was in the cash game breakdown over at fantasyguru.com. He's been an effective pitcher this year. He's 7-5, just hit a career best in innings pitched last night. He's been perfectly solid. Problem is, his velocity is down a little bit, and the strikeout rate has vanished. And that was one thing with Kyle Harrison. It's like, Kyle Harrison's going to strike out a guy an inning. You know that. Maybe it'll be 10, maybe 11 per 9, right? Doug, I see a question here. Was that in an article? I don't know what you're referring to, Doug, so let me know. Kyle Harrison was supposed to be a strikeout inning guy, and right now his strikeout rate is 22%, which is less than the league average. He's got an 8.3 strikeout per 9 rate, which is, again, below the league average. So he's done a good job limiting the walks. His walk rate is down under 3 per 9, so we can live with that. He pitches it, San Francisco, which helps a lot. He's not been homer prone, but a 1.2 home run per 9 is right about the league average. Okay, we can live with that. If we had the wipeout strikeout, we didn't. We haven't. And that's the weird thing, because in his minor league career, he was dominant. I still think that one of the issues that he finds challenging is that, he's still trying to really develop that third pitch. He throws 3 pitches, his fastball 60%, and then his changeup and his curveball about 20%. But that third pitch is really kind of still a work in progress. We can see that reflected in his splits that were kind of rough, but now they've come back in line. So I think he's rounding into right now a guy that could round out a rotation. He was supposed to be better than that. He's only 23, and we really need to see the velocity come back. He's down a little bit from last year. So Harrison has been very effective for a rookie. I love that, but not quite the hope that we were expecting. Gavin Stone fanned a career high 10 batters over 7 innings. The Dodgers defeated the Mariners 3-0. And it's really interesting. Stone has been kind of a stabilizer for a pitching staff that desperately needed him, right? all the injuries, May, Glasnow, Kershaw, Yamamoto, on and on and on. And last night, he career high strikeout total for a guy who's not a strikeout guy. Mariners are not a good offense. White Sox aren't a good offense. They're offenses that we're attacking with pitching at this point of the season, as we all know. Stone has been better than it's expected. Now, great effort last night in a winnable matchup, but still, right? His ERA was over 6 in 7 starts since the beginning of July. So what does this rotation look like with the Dodgers? And of course, it matters when Yamamoto is back. It looks very likely that he's going to come back from the shoulder issue before the season is done. But right now, when does that happen? We don't know exactly. Tyler Glasnow is obviously on the shelf right now. They lost River Ryan for the season. So maybe Gavin Stone, after all the concerns I had with Gavin Stone, like how many guys have to get hurt? How many things have to go right for this guy to make 28 starts? He's got 23 starts. He might make 28 starts. And though his numbers are solid, he's very much in the Kyle Harrison zone right now, kind of just an average guy, a lower strikeout rate than Harrison. And as I noted, really wonky about 6 weeks before that strong effort last night. Joe Boyle stands 7'8" and throws 117 miles an hour. Boyle, I don't know, was he 6'7"? He's a huge dude. He throws 99 miles an hour. He's got tremendous stuff. And it seems like half the time he has no idea where he's throwing the pitch. And I'm legitimately being honest, no idea. Well, last night, he gave a pair of singles over 6 innings of shutout baseball against the Rays, and he looked good. He averaged 98.9 miles an hour last night, which is up almost 2 miles an hour from his average. So I was reading a little bit of reporting before the show today, and he's changed his release point significantly. And what he has done is he's basically changed his arm slot a little bit. Seems like he's picked up a little bit of velocity by dropping his arm slot down and created some more control. Now this, you can't teach 99 miles an hour. We all know that, right? And so Boyle, did Boyle even have? I mean, he walked like a batter per inning in the minors this year. Let's pull him up real quick. I mean, he's got an arm that, it's like, my God, this is one of the best arms in baseball. But his work at the big league level to date is 34 walks in 38 innings. No, that's what he did at AAA. Sorry. 34 walks in 38 innings at AAA. It's way better at the big league level, 29 walks in 37 innings. I mean, he's walking 7.5 batters per 9 innings this year, which is catastrophic, which is not possible to do and maintain a job of any kind. Doing that at AAA, if he was throwing 89 miles an hour, his career would be slaloming toward an end, but he throws 98 miles an hour, so they're giving him a chance. This new release point is really interesting because obviously if he can harness his stuff at all, and if he can walk 4 guys per 9 innings instead of 7.5, maybe he's in that Edward Cabrera zone right now. It's like this arm, we can dream on it, but boy, do changes need to be made. And we'll see if the changes we saw last night are something he's able to carry on, because that was an impressive effort last night against the Rays by Joe Boyle. Let's talk a little bit of Dodger baseball. A lot of things going on here. Obviously, the Dodgers making moves. They activated Max Muncy. Interestingly enough, Freddie Freeman was able to return yesterday. Great news for Freddie Freeman after his hand issue. Surprising. He didn't miss any time. Max Muncy was activated off the injury list. Tommy Edman was activated off the injury list. As we talked about in the recent past couple of weeks ago when these guys were getting clipped, maybe 10 days ago, they were going to have to lose an outfielder. There's not enough space on the roster. So Andy Pages has been sent to AAA. He's been perfectly fine this year for a youngster. He's only 23. I don't know if he's a youngster, right? And especially in his big league experience. But nah. And there was a lot of excitement when he was promoted, and he had a good couple of weeks, and he's hitting 250 with a 300 on base percentage. He's been fine, but he's down on the farm. We're not likely to see him again, barring an injury. So even in NL leagues, a little bit of a rough spot there. Muncy and Edman figure to play on a consistent basis, obviously. And those are 2 veteran players that, we had a discussion yesterday in Discord. I think we even might have mentioned it here on the show on Max Muncy. Shouldn't be on the waiver wire in most leagues. Tommy Edman probably shouldn't be on the waiver wire in most leagues either. Now, a 10-team head-to-head league, 12-plus team roto league, I think these guys should be rostered. I think even in a head-to-head scenario, if you want to get aggressive, corner infield for one guy, middle infield, outfield for the other guy. Figure to play a lot for the Dodgers. It's a really good lineup. And we'll see if they can hit the ground running after both having dreadful season. Tommy Edman had, I don't know how many setbacks he had before he hadn't played a game before yesterday at the big league. That's right? He hadn't played a single game this season, which is rather remarkable for a guy that we thought maybe would make opening day. Yeah, it was his first game. We thought maybe he'd make opening day. He barely made it August. Masataka Yoshida is someone that we mentioned recently. I want to say last week here on the show. 1 for 2 last night with a home run. He's killing it. His last 13 games, he's driven in 11 runs, hitting 418. And all of a sudden, Yoshida, who, let's be honest about this, 2 months ago, I don't remember the last time I had a Yoshida question. And 2 months ago, was he even, AL only league, sure. Any mixed league in the universe, was he on the team? Well, now he's hitting 300 with a 376 on base percentage. He's actually have better batting average, a better on base percentage, and a better slugging percentage than he had last year. He's also got a better walk rate than he had last year. He's also got a better strikeout rate than he had last year. Right? And remember, last year, he had 289 with 15 home runs, 70-70. He's not going to get to those numbers this year, but he's hitting 300 with a 376 on base percentage in 77 games. Double it, give him a full season of work. He's hitting 300 with 18 home runs and 90 RBIs. And he is blazing right now. If he's on the waiver wire, change that. He's blazing, and he's in the middle of the order, too. They've been hitting him cleanup a lot. Let's look at his game cards we pull up. They've been hitting him in the middle of the order, kind of splitting things up, lefty-righty stuff. He's dropped down because of the return of Casas. So that's unfortunate. Hitting 6th here. But, he's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game hitting streak. And in the 7-game hitting streak, he's batting .632. Bat him if he's on the waiver wire. All right, let's see. Who we got up next here? TJ Friedl, my guy. Not really my guy. TJ Friedl, somebody that almost went 20-30 last year. Had a strong season. Came into this year with a lot of expectations without the draft cost being overly high. Struggled to get healthy. He's hitting 237. He's got 10 home runs and 6 steals. He's only played 50 games. Played 49 games. Do the math with me. Triple it up. That's a 30-20 season. He is killing it of late. He's 8 for his last 25 with 3 home runs. The last 2 weeks, for those people that haven't noticed, TJ Friedl the last 2 weeks is hitting .292 with 5 home runs and 12 RBIs in 13 games. Now, he hasn't stolen a base in a month. He's dealt with a lot of health injuries, lower health issues with his lower half and all that. Hasn't stolen a base in a month. But again, the last 2 weeks, he's got 5 home runs and an OPS of 970. TJ Friedl, he and Yoshida, 2 strong options. If you look at overall numbers, they're going to disappoint. But if you look at the way they're going right now, they're pretty interesting players in mixed leagues. Francisco Alvarez hit a game-winning home run. Alvarez has hit 200 with 2 home runs his last 30 contests. That's bad. And frankly, he has been a huge disappointment. There's been some health issue in there. He hurt his thumb and all of that. But the 22-year-old who hit 25 home runs last year, he's got 180 less at bats than he had last year when he had 25 home runs. He got 6 this year. His batting average is much better, which is interesting. 250, we can live with that. 318 on base percentage, okay, league average. But he's just not driving the baseball. His isolated power mark has dropped, 70 points. His strikeout and walk rates are very similar to last season, which we love to see. But here's the real key with him. Hard hit rate is down. Barrel rate is cut in half from last season. He's lost 2 miles an hour in exit velocity. And after having a 13% launch angle mark, the mark is 6% this year. So I think he's all kinds of beat up. He's not the hitter right now that he is when he's healthy. I would anticipate next year being a nice buying opportunity for Francisco Alvarez, depending upon how the community reacts, because his numbers are going to be pretty poor this year. And he's been very disappointing here. The last month here, he's been awful, hitting 206 his last 100 at-bats. But there's talent there. We just haven't seen much of it this year. All right, let's talk a little injury situation. We talked about Austin Riley yesterday. I was wrong. My guesstimate, without having any information, as I said, my lean was he's going to miss a few days and play. Well, they ran those further tests. Fractured hand. He's done 6 to 8 weeks. Almost certain his regular season is over. Terrible news for fantasy owners everywhere. Obviously, Riley is going to go down as having his most disappointing season in years. He had been much better the last couple of months, but now we're scrambling. And you're not the only one scrambling. The Braves are scrambling. I wrote about this yesterday in my Rays Ramblings piece over at fantasyguru.com. Luke Williams is the answer. Braves are going to go internal. They're going to do Luke Williams. Okay, that's not an answer. We got a report that Yuli Gurriel, the 40-year-old guy, Yuli Gurriel, who's killed it down at AAA, actually, is going to start playing some third base. They're going to see if he can handle third base because his bat has been pretty live down on the farm. This morning, we got an update a few minutes before we started the show that Gio Urshela, who was let go by the Tigers, who wanted to give Urshela a chance to sign with a contender, he did. He signed with the Braves. So the Braves, I mean, getting Gio Urshela at this point is a pretty good get for the Braves. Obviously, the trade deadline's passed. What are you going to do? He's nowhere near Austin Riley in any facet of baseball. Let's not. But he's a solid defensive player. He can play multiple positions. He's a solid defensive player. He gives good at bats, even if the numbers aren't great. A very good addition to the Braves. He'll probably hit 9th in the order. Nothing to get excited about from a fantasy perspective, but they're doing the best they can. If you have Austin Riley, you don't pivot to Gio Urshela. You got to do something else because at the very least, they're totally stylistically different players. Urshela is a 10 home run guy. Riley's obviously a 30 home run guy. So if you had Riley and you're in a mixed league, or even if you're in a head-to-head league, if you have Riley, dump him. 6 to 8 weeks, maybe it's 5 weeks, and he makes back some strong recovery. And for the final week of the season, he's there. Are you going to play him? I mean, you could, but a broken hand. I think it's fair if you don't have an IL spot. If you have an IL spot, keep him. You never know. But if you don't have an IL spot, just move on from Austin Riley. Ketel Marte, we've talked about on and on here about how good he has been, how dynamic he's been against left-handed pitching, how he's potentially in the MVP consideration in the National League. The ankle issue finally got him. He's been placed on the injured list. Kevin Newman probably takes over at second base. Kevin Newman, NL only play, sure. Mixed league, no. Another scenario where the replacement is not someone to pay attention to in the mixed league. We don't know how much time Marte is going to miss, but after multiple setbacks trying to work through this, they're going to want to get him right. But of course, there's the balancing act of we got to get to the playoffs too. So we'll see with Marte. Hope it's 10 days. Kind of thinking it might be a little bit longer. We'll see with him, but he's down right now, and you'll have to make do. Not with his replacement. You'll have to find someone else at second base. Ha-Seong Kim, let me do a quick search here. As this show started, we still hadn't had an update. Let's see. No. Okay, we don't have an update that I'm seeing here. Ha-Seong Kim's got the shoulder issue. We were hoping to find out some clarity on this yesterday, and I had a discussion in the Discord over at fantasyguru.com this morning about Kim. What do I do? Ray, just started the fantasy playoffs and head-to-head. What do I do? We decided he had to drop Kim, and I think that was the right move. So it depends on your scenario. If you're in a roto league, I'd like to hold to see. If you're in a head-to-head league, I mean, the fact that they're still evaluating, let's kind of got the report, we're still evaluating, doesn't sound good, right? So my expectation at this point, and we'll see if I'm right about this one, my expectation at this point is that Kim ends up on the injured list. How long does that injured list stay? Is this a season-ending injury? Is this something he's going to be back in 10 days? Am I wrong? And he's going to be back in the lineup on Thursday. We'll see. But it's hold your breath time with Ha-Seong Kim. And again, in certain scenarios, like a head-to-head setup where you're in the fantasy playoffs, you need to at least, even if you don't move on from him, go get someone to replace him in your lineup because it is completely unclear, clear as mud, as they say, if he's even going to play this week for the Padres. Some pitchers. Max Scherzer out since the 30th of July with shoulder fatigue. We thought we had a win with Scherzer. We thought he was going to make it back, and we're going to get those 15 starts out of him, 14 starts. It's going to be good stuff. Hasn't happened. Volatile starts, up and down, setbacks, thumb, shoulder. He's going to make a start at AA Frisco on Friday. If that goes well, that is the expectation that he will return for the next week. So if the effort on Friday at AA goes well, he's back in the rotation next week for the Rangers. Knowing Max Scherzer, that's probably what's going to happen. Even if he doesn't pitch great, as long as he's healthy, they'll activate him. That'd be my guess. So Scherzer most likely to be back next week from the shoulder fatigue. We'll have to see. You never know. Most likely. Now, his teammate, Jacob deGrom, is actually going to pitch on back-to-back days with Scherzer down there on the farm. He's going to make the first of what is anticipated to be 4 rehab starts coming back from his Tommy John surgery. So Jacob deGrom will start this weekend, number 1, then have 3 more starts if things go well, according to plan. That means he's probably coming off the injured list September 11th to 14th, somewhere in that zone. So maybe he makes 3 starts, 3 for the Rangers. Now, that's kind of if everything goes well. We have seen Jacob deGrom dominate, throwing 75 pitches, so it's not like he needs to throw 110 pitches to be effective. 3 starts. I'm not going to sit here and say that 3 starts down the stretch in a roto league is not going to matter, because in leagues it certainly will. So we'll have to keep our eyes on what he does here. But if you don't have an IL spot, you can't add Jacob deGrom, because, again, it's probably going to be another almost 3.5 weeks before we see him at the big league level. It's too long to add him and wait. You've got an IL spot, and he's floating on the waiver wire. You can add him, put him on the IL spot, and then go pick up Bailey Falter or whoever you're going to add there. But we'll have to keep a close eye on how things go. There's always a chance, too. They'd love to get him back out there, of course. But there's always a chance he has some minor setback here, and they just shut him down. So we're hopeful we get 3 starts. We'll see if it's that or less than that, but it does not appear like it's going to be more than that. The Astros talking about, it's Veteran Day here on the show, right? All these old right-handed pitchers. Justin Verlander, who had a neck issue that may or may not send him to the injured list, who's missed 2 months of action, 2.5 months actually, with a neck issue again that wasn't going to come. Still, hey, by the way, we're still waiting on Kyle Tucker. Still had a shin bruise and he still can't run. What's going on in Houston? Anyone know why they're not telling us what's actually going on? Anyway, Justin Verlander is going to come off the injured list to face the Red Sox tomorrow. That's the plan. It'll be his first start in nearly 2.5 months. He allowed 2 runs in 7 innings in his 2 rehab starts. I think a best case scenario in that start against the Red Sox is probably 75 pitches. The Red Sox are not, they're not a great lineup to return against, right? At least it'll be at home for Verlander in Texas there. But we'll see tomorrow what he does, and don't recommend starting him tomorrow. And then we'll see if he's usable starting come next week. Remember, he's not the pitcher he once was. Don't think Hall of Fame. Don't think Justin Verlander. He, to this point of the season, has basically been a league average pitcher. He's been no better than Kyle Harrison. So we'll see how it goes. 2.5 months with a minor neck injury. Alex Cobb is on the 15-day injured list with a fractured fingernail. Alex Cobb is a really good pitcher. And I've said this previously. I can only imagine what it would be like to be an athlete. Or to be you have a skill, a special skill. And for whatever reason, you just can't ever use it, right? Alex Cobb is always hurt. He's always hurt. He's Mike Trout. He's always hurt. How frustrating is that? Oh, yeah, Ray, cry me a river. These guys are making millions of dollars. Yeah. But think about it. If you couldn't do your job, something you're really good at, you just couldn't do it. And you wanted to do it. You had the drive to do it. Just can't do it. Yeah. And by the way, here, Henry V saying, Astros missed the diagnosis on Tucker. It's the only thing that makes sense. I think that's what we're all kind of thinking. And, these things happen. But why the secrecy for 2 months? Why not just say it? It's going to come out, or they're just going to wait till February next year when they report for spring. Oh, yeah, I broke my leg. And everyone looks like a doofus then because no one told the truth for 2 months. Again, we're not owed the truth, but we're owed the truth. Ultimately, and I've said this a lot. I haven't said it recently, or I may not have ever said it on this show. I don't know. It's been a while since I've said it. But you, Henry, you, Doug, and Kevin, and Mark, and Greg, and David, and Henry, and Angelo, all of you pay Kyle Tucker's salary by buying tickets, by going to games, by buying concessions, by buying jerseys, by playing fantasy baseball, by signing up for video packages, MLB Network. You pay his salary. If I have an employee that just doesn't show up for work, if someone at fantasyguru.com just decides not to show up for work today, I'm going to have to know why, right? Aren't we owed, even though we're not owed? Aren't we owed the truth with these guys? It's not hurting anybody. This is not like a playoff series in hockey where, oh boy, if the other team knows his shoulder's hurt, they're going to slam him into the boards, which is ridiculous. Everyone knows when a guy walks off the ice and he's doing this, that his shoulder's hurt, and they'll call it an upper body injury. But anyway, there's no competitive advantage to be gained saying Kyle Tucker broke his leg. It's not. So I don't know why we haven't known the truth. Makes sense, Henry, but I still don't know why they haven't clarified it. That part doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, Alex Cobb is out. Anthony Gose has been called up to take his roster spot. Gose is if you remember, that's the offensive guy. The guy that used to be an outfielder who's now a pitcher. He's been called up. He's not a starting pitcher though, so we'll see what the Guardians do with their rotation. Let's see if let's see what the unofficial. Let's prognosticate out what a starting staff is going to look like. Boyd is just recently called up, right? So it'll be Boyd, Joey Cantillo, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, Ben Lively. Tristan McKenzie, maybe. I wouldn't get excited about Tristan McKenzie, a name we all know, but someone who this year, got the shoulder or the elbow issue, excuse me. We'll see what the Guardians do. But right now, they're going to have to do whatever it is without Alex Cobb. Okay. So there's some comments. I mean, there's some comments I had here. By the way, for those of you that are interested, I see a question here from David talking football. So before we get to that question, remember, you can sign up for Drafters Best Ball. And for those of you that have never signed up for Drafters Best Ball, drafters.com, if you go there right now and you sign up, use the promo code ELITE, that gets you a 100% deposit match. So you put $50 in, they give you $50. Pretty damn good. Use that promo code ELITE. If you have signed up at Drafters before, Ray, don't worry. Use the promo code ELITE10. Then if you put $50 in, you get $5. It's a 10% match there. So any returning customer with the promo code ELITE10 gets a discount there. I have been told, I'm not Mr. Best Ball, I think everyone knows that, but I have been told that there's a lot of overlay here. They're not going to fill all their contests, meaning that your odds of winning money, part of that $2.5 million in prizes, your odds of winning money are going up because the contests are not all filled. If the contests are filled to the max, okay, but they're not. Maybe we can get Tyler Beaker to give us some numbers when he's visiting with us on Thursday. But head over to drafters.com. Again, use that promo code ELITE. If you've never been there, 100% match. Use the promo code ELITE10 for a 10% match. And Tyler has got an entire best ball section in the draft guide at fantasyguru.com. So you sign up for the football product. Again, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. You sign up for that product. There's like 8 articles, something like that. Rankings that are updated. All of that. So specific best ball rankings updated at fantasyguru.com, articles on how to put a team together, the do's, the don'ts, all that from Tyler Beaker as part of the overarching package at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's go to the question from David P. We missed you yesterday, David, with your football question. David's here today. Good job on training camp. Thank you. Again, everyone, it's available. fantasyguru.com, subscribe, top right corner, scroll down. You can see hours upon hours upon hours of our stored talks. On college football, on fab, on trading, on putting a team together, on do's and don'ts, all that kind of stuff over at fantasyguru.com. I use the rating backwards on my second quarterback. For those people that didn't see it, one of the strategies I mention is that, people oftentimes go from top to bottom with the rankings, go in reverse. At what point at the quarterback position in this example are you uncomfortable with the quarterback? Well, wherever that is, you got to get 2 quarterbacks ahead of that if you're in a super flex league. So if it's 20 quarterbacks, you got to have 2 of the top 20 guys. So when you're about ready to run out of the quarterbacks, you got to get that second quarterback. So David says, I got Mahomes, but okay, the whole team. Okay. I appreciate the question. I will answer it because it's here, David. Not really into the break my roster down thing here on the show. I've never said it, so I'm not going to not answer your question, but this is not the place for, here's my whole team, what do you think? That's in Discord at fantasyguru.com, but we'll go through it again because I don't want to, I never said that on the show, but we're not doing rate my team here on the show. That's in Discord if you want that. But David put a team together here in a super flex league. Mahomes and Lawrence, fantastic duo in a super flex. Taylor, Montgomery, Ford, Moss at running back. Looks really good to me. Wilson, London, Metcalf, McLaurin, and Tommy Callahan. That's a fantastic group, David. Great work there. And then at tight end, Ingram. I mean, I would say it this way. I don't know how you ended up with all these players. Clearly, the people in your league are not drafting properly, I would say. Because at the quarterback spot, you got 2 top 15 guys. At the running back spot, you got a top 5 guy, a top 15 guy, a top 25 guy, and a top 25 guy. At the wide receiver spot, you've got 3 guys who we have listed as wide receiver 1s. Terry McLaurin's the perfect wide receiver 2. He's your 4th receiver. Tommy Callahan is the perfect number 3 receiver. He's your number 5 receiver. And Evan Ingram's a top 5 tight end too. So great work. I don't know how you put that team together. You should have a lot of success with that team, David. Really appreciate it. Thanks for training camp and being here and the questions and all that as well. So again, that's kind of it for today. I've got a lot of things going on today. For those people that have Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio at 3:00 my time, 6:00. Let me make sure that's right. 6:00 Eastern today. Let me verify that. There's a draft, one of the host draft. There's multiple host drafts because we have more than 12 people that host on SiriusXM. Okay. So 6:00 Eastern time tonight. I will be on the air. I'll be on the airwaves, as they say, over at SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, putting together one of my teams. So if you want to check out my team in the SiriusXM Staff League, 6:00 tonight is the place for that. I'll have the cash game breakdown out in a couple of hours over at fantasyguru.com. We've also got right now, right before the show started, was able to put out the Ramblings piece for today. So check that out, talking about strikeouts and walks, their importance. We did this about a month ago for pitching. Wanted to do it again right now, looking at strikeouts and walks. At the end of the day, strikeouts and walks are really important, and they tell you an awful lot about pitchers and their likely performance moving forward. So we analyze that in depth. So check that out over at the website. I'll be in Discord later today. I'll have bets later today as well. And I'll be doing football prep behind the scenes as well. So thank you to everybody for all the questions. Thank you, everybody, for all the time. Thank you, bet, John. I see John's here. Thanks for the info. Have a good day. You too, John. Appreciate that. And again, really love the atmosphere here. Tell a friend. It's always nice to spread the word. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We actually have a little bit of a schedule change just before we go. The guys are changing up their schedule this week. We're doing 12 to 1, roughly Eastern time every day. 9 to 10 Pacific time is Fantasy Sports Daily Show, Monday through Friday. Normally, we've talked about this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We talk football. In about 2 weeks, we'll transition to doing football every day. But right now, we've got usually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in order of guys on the staff that visit, changing order up a little bit. Tomorrow will be Russell Clay. Thursday will be Tyler Beaker. Friday will be Armando Marcel. So all those guys show up about a half hour into the show, about 12:30 Eastern time. And we'll have some discussion with them about football. Where are we at? ADP, drafts, injuries, player movements, all these kind of things. We'll discuss it with that. And you've got it, Eric S. I am the man. No, you demand. I think that's what the kids say these days. Something like that. So thank you to all of you for watching, for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us at your local podcast network, and always at fantasyguru.com if you click that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. Thanks for listening. Have a great Tuesday. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. You can follow me on social medias at the Ray Flowers, because I am Ray Flowers, and this has been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.